Welcome to the show. Today I'm doing something different. I have a very special guest. This is my first guest. If you like the show, please subscribe on Patreon. You pay whatever you want, help support the show. Patreon.com/Tyler Talks. Without further ado, I would like to introduce one of my favorite humans on the planet. One of the most funny, genuine, sweet, goddamn, wonderful, beautiful human beings. You know him as a star, one of the stars of Impractical Jokers. Please welcome my good pal, Sal Vulcano!
Buddy,
What's up, babe?
are you drinking milk?
It's like a protein shake,
Nice.
but I like milk.
Good to see you, man.
You, baby, you look great. Look at your beard.
Yeah, dude. Get the beard and that. You got the hair too. I'm too embarrassed to show it yet. But it's
No, let me see.
Yeah. It's like it's out there, man.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
I just don't know what to
Are
do
you,
with it.
are you zero haircuts so far?
I've only given myself one where I did just a little trim, but that's it. I'm just going for the gold.
You have great hair and beard, man. What a great beard! What a great stash!
Thanks, dude. Well,
What you have is what I know I don't have, but pretend in my head that I have it, and it's exactly what I'm going for specifically. But when you put the right one next to the wrong one, you see how badly I'm failing at it.
Yeah, but you've got you've got a good mustache. So here's
We're the best mustaches I've ever seen him. I mean, you literally look like Foghorn Leghorn.
Well, Dave Attell, who I always loved, I bombed on he did a show called The Gong Show years ago, and I auditioned for it and just bombed and was humiliated, and he was in the audition. And I've always been afraid to talk to him. And then I'm walking down past the cellar.
He hosted it, right? Didn't he host it?
Yeah. It was the first time I ever did stand-up was in front of Dave Attell for that audition. Yeah.
How do I not know that story about you?
I don't know, man. But years later, I'm walking past the Comedy Cellar, and he goes, "Hey, buddy, you got the best mustache of the summer." And I this was like 10 years ago. I went home and probably cried.
That's crazy. Wait, why did you decide to do stand up for the first time on the Gong Show?
I had maybe tried it in college, in a cafeteria, and then
okay, so they're having the Gong Show. So were you more getting on the Gong Show for the fun of it or for the money, and then said
I did it because I was pursuing acting, so it was like this was an acting breakdown.
Okay.
And then they said, "Look, you're not really what we're looking for. We need something weirder." I went home and then went all the way back to Williamsburg and said, "No, I could do something weird." I was so desperate. So I just did a dance routine for them. So anyways, yeah. So I bombed the audition, and then
you went all the way back.
Went back and begged them to let me do something weird, and I just made something up and humiliated myself.
And did that get on?
No.
So you didn't even get on, which,
No.
by the way, the producers, I have to imagine, know that what they're doing. So they also need bits that are going to bomb but be funny. So if you think about it, they didn't think you'd pass, and they didn't even think you were good enough to bomb it.
No, it doesn't get much worse than that. It's kind of like we don't know what to do with you territory.
That's so funny. Do you remember what the stand-up material was? And then do you remember what the second thing was?
The stand-up material was my brother had, I think, just had a kid. So I just made fun of how many, they were just popping kids out. So I had some Pringles bit. It was terrible. It was nothing,
Your
nothing.
recap of the stand-up set is Pringles, your brother popping out kids, and someone was, slightly challenged mentally. It's like, I don't even, where is all that going?
Yeah. It was nothing. It was like, do you remember the first time you did stand-up? Did you have material you were working on secretly for years? Was it a new?
No, you know what? I think
where was it?
So one of the first few times I ever got up was twofold. It was 1998, and I haven't been doing comedy that long. I just did a little bit and then stopped and then picked it up again years later. I was doing like sketch and improv and writing, like in between. But it was I used to have this little. So for my confirmation in 7th grade, right?
Yeah.
I took my money and I bought an electric guitar and a little amp, and I never learned to play. But that amp, I had a mic and I used to plug it into the amp. So in 1998, I got a house on the weekends. I split a house with a bunch of friends. I was like just turned 20. I was 21, and we all chip in, and you go down every weekend, and you all have roommates, and you kind of have this shore house. And so I used to take the amp. We were right on the corner of a very busy intersection in this beach.
Oh no.
And so I used to take the amp and I ran an extension cord and I plugged it in on the front lawn with my mic, and my friends would sit on the porch, and then I would just do crowd work for everyone that passed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so funny though.
It was I wasn't intimidating because it was my friends watching me.
Yeah, that's ideal because you're on your own property.
Yeah.
You're just heckling people walking by.
Like I used to do like inner monologues of people walking by, like they'd be watching like 20 people watching them and a guy with a mic, and then I'd start doing their inner monologue as they walk down the block, and then they knew it, and then they would like laugh and like just kind of like, I don't know, it was
oh my God.
And then believe it or not, I took a writing class in like 97 when I was like still at the end of college or something, and it was a stand-up writing class, and then I would like perform for the class, or like I did a couple of mics and stuff. But it was all, I mean, the worst thing you've ever heard in your entire life ever. You know what I mean? It wasn't like.
Well, that's the thing. It's good to hear stories from people who are successful, who everyone just ate shit. But for some reason, I still look at people like Seinfeld or whoever and go, no, they never felt that. But they feel it all the time still.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel it all the time too.
All the time.
I actually I remember nights, many nights with me and you, or I was doing one of your shows, or we were doing shows together. I even remember bouncing stuff off you, being like, "Oh man, I don't know."
I'm hesitant.
Always so nice.
I don't bounce ideas off comedians too often anymore because I can't handle I guess you got to find the right people to do it with, but too many times where they'll just go, and then that's it. That could kill your all the mojo behind that idea. So at one point I said, I'm not telling anybody anything ever again. I don't run bits by them. I don't tell them. I didn't tell anyone I was starting this podcast because I didn't want any noise to stop me.
You are on a short list of, I don't know if I've ever really said this to you specifically, although I'm sure you know.
Just a short list. It's just a list of short people. Peter Dinklage.
I have a list of 4 things, and you're on it. So you're on a short list. Yeah, short people. When I first really dove back into stand-up again, or for the first time, really, if you want to call it that, like I think it's just 5-6 years ago, whatever it may be, you are one of maybe just like 3 or 4 or 5 people that always like gave me spots, cleared out something for me, offered me spots, hung out with me, talked about comedy, would go from show to show with me. It was intimidating because in the beginning I didn't want to just go right into clubs. Not club, but produce shows in clubs,
right? Because
I didn't have what I needed yet. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have even a solid 15 minutes yet, really, and also like I was unclear about what people would expect from me. And
that's a tough position to be in. Yeah,
because the people knew me already, so it's like I had to get my footing before I could even do that. So that's done with a lot of produced shows, bar shows, and special shows, and whatever this and that. Like that's something that you, like in that world, you've had so many different iterations of shows, and also at different unique locations. Like you have like some of the most unique, like some people are like, oh, come to this bar or come to this whatever, but you do like loft spaces and after work things, and you have built-in on, and you would have produced shows on like a weeknight that no one else had, but you would have 150 people.
Well, I wasn't getting any club spots. I just couldn't figure out how to get into the clubs. Yeah. So the positive thing was it forced me to just figure out how to start a show. And then I refused to start a show that wasn't good because I would be humiliated if I brought you or
I
anybody.
don't know how helpful those were because you
Yeah.
need every kind of audience and every kind of situation.
Yeah.
So I also would go to a show at like a Dive East Village bar that had 6 people in it, which is one muscle, whatever. But then
Sure.
like to be able to go on like a Tuesday night and walk into a room of, I'm not even exaggerating for people listening, like sometimes like 100 or 150 people like in their 20s and 30s. Like I don't know how you were pulling those things,
Well, the
but
WeWork shows you did. I was
yeah,
doing the show because I rented a WeWork just to have a place to write jokes. So
right.
I'd like wear like a shirt and tie, and there'd be accountants and stuff, and they'd go, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm writing tweets." But I just wanted to feel like I had a job, and they had these grand ballrooms overlooking Bryant Park. So I said, "Hey, can I do comedy?" And they'd get like waiters and black ties, and have it catered. So that was
It was insane. There was bartenders, there was
yeah,
open bar, there was like
yeah.
it was the energy too. And some of those nights, the energy was as hot as any club I've been to on any weekend. Like I remember a couple that it was like electric.
Electric. Yeah, I miss those a lot.
We offered those spots, and to get those types of spots in front of those types of people at that stage and on a weeknight, like it was really invaluable to building up my material and my sets and stuff like that. You will like, and still are one of my go-to people for that kind of thing. So I really appreciate it.
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was funny when we met, we were sitting back to back at the stand, and Joe Harari, he kind of said, "Hey, you guys talk because you both do prank stuff." And I had never seen Impractical Jokers because I'm in this house that I've been in for 10 years where there was a no TV rule. This woman I moved in with. So I just never watched TV. I'd known about the show.
I think you told me that when we met too.
I think that was good because I get really starstruck. I had a panic attack in front of Owen Wilson a year ago. I couldn't speak, and I had just
a year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago. Yeah, because I've been doing an impression of him for so long, and I had just come from wherever Eastville is. Oh, New York Comedy Club, and I walk out of the club after doing an impression of him, and there he is, and I was like, I was just doing you in there, and he just thought I was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
So
you're so good at that stuff. You're like one of like I always say like I have like maybe two or three friends that I just wish get on SNL. 3 or 4 friends, and you're at the top of my list, man. Right?
I had to give that one up. I had to give that dream up, and it was useful to give it up because that's the only reason I started doing impressions was I had this manager who said, "Do you want to audition for SNL?" And I was like, "Whoa, okay." He goes, "You need 5 characters and 5 impressions." So that's why I started doing them. And then I didn't get the audition. Next year, he goes, "I need 5 more." Next year, I need 5 more. And I was spending all my time on it. That's how the Bill Burr one came. I needed 1 more. And then I was just like, it's brutal. And I was like, oh God, I could do Bill Burr too. So that
Bill Burr one it floors me. Some of the ones you do, they floor me. It's a talent that I think it's something genetic. Like, I don't know how people who do impressions like that are able to mimic, but then there's just people. I mean, I just can't do impressions. I just can't.
I bet you can though. You have such a wide your voice when you do when you tell a story on stage. You maybe you're not aware of it, but you're hitting so many different sounds. You're using different parts of your voice that a lot of people don't do because you're just it's like I took an acting class and she said you gotta like talk from the top of your head and then from your chest, and it's something I noticed with you. So that's why I asked if you did any voiceover work.
No, I mean just only recently in the last like year. I did a few animated things and when it's not my own project, I'm still very insecure and very nervous and some of the animated work I got, and it's just little stuff, but it was a larger scale. Like one was on Fox and even one was for my buddy Bobby Moynihan, and it was a web one, but Bobby is like the man and the legend to me, and I'm such a big fan of his, and to be part of his something he created. Like you just kind of go in, and that one was a little easier because I was like just playing myself. He actually, but like when I had to do it, but there was a few here and there, and even a few auditions.
Is that out? Could I see that the one with Bobby Moynihan?
Yeah, he has a series called Lofi. It's actually hysterical. It's a series called Lofi. It's
Lofi,
about a
okay.
manatee at the zoo. There's like pothead manatee at the zoo and all of his friends. I think it's at the Central Park Zoo. Really funny. And then there was I did this show Bless the Hearts on Fox. Emily Spivey,
Whoa.
well, my friend she created it, and she gave me a chance to do this character in 2 episodes. Really, and then we did a few other ones, and we're developing some animated stuff now. But I listen to myself, and I'm like, I don't have this skill. Because I have terrible diction, and
So
if
do
I'm
I, though, dude. So do I. I'm
you
mush
do not.
mouth.
You have such a good
I
voice.
have but I have mush mouth, and it's like
You?
where I mumble over words. My acting teacher used to she literally pulled me aside. She said, "You'll never do TV or film."
Wow.
And she said, "You'll never do it because you mush your words."
Every time I don't really watch myself a lot, but every time I do, or I hear a podcast, and I'm like, oh my God, you sound like you have a fucking full slice of pizza in your mouth. And I get lazy when I'm like,
no one else notices that.
Or really comfortable with someone.
Yeah.
I'll talk very fast. My accent comes out more. And then when I'm when I'm trying to focus on it, I can rein that in, and I sound more like a normal human being.
If people only knew how much we are, hypercritical of every millimeter of our everything.
Yeah.
Do you work towards letting that go? Do you do any sort of journaling or therapeutic work where you're working to just combat that? Because it can really get annoying.
It is. I don't know if everyone deals with it, but I am insecure, so I do deal with it. I find that not watching and then letting it pass. I still know it's out there. I don't like it, but I just don't watch. And then I'm always faced with it whenever I do flip and the TV show's on, or I we're about to release a new podcast or something, and I watch either I'm on someone else's or my own, and I watch it back, a segment of it, and I see myself, and I'm like, I hate. I just focus on everything I hate about myself. And then I say, sometimes it's helpful. You know what I really found helpful? When because audio is way different than video as well. So sometimes,
different.
Yeah, so I record every set I've ever done, right? But then sometimes the club or whatever, they'll be like, oh, you want a tape, or you can request a tape. And then you get it, and then you watch it visibly. And the second you see yourself, you could be doing a joke for 6 months, and then you see it visibly for the first time from watching yourself, and you're like, oh my God, I don't like how I did that. Oh, that physicality worked, or oh, I'm doing that when I don't know, I don't notice nervous tics, or I don't know whatever it is, and then so it is good to watch because you can course correct.
Yeah.
But I find that it only stokes all the insecurities when I do watch. So it's this mix of watching once in a while and making the changes when I finally see it, and then avoiding it like the plague.
I found watching it every time is the only thing. I stopped recording it audio because then I would get away with not seeing the, stand-up is a mix of the visual and, unless you're Stephen Wright and you just are staying put.
Right.
But you and I are so physical. So I found when I had a rule for a while, I had to film every set. And that was it was exposure therapy, I guess. And then you just get comfortable watching yourself, not critically, but you want to balance watching it as what the audience sees and you knowing yourself. And then
it was fascinating. I had a friend over my place, not even a few weeks ago, right? And she was visiting from another state, and she had to quarantine and came here, and she was in my spare room, and we were hanging out, and we were talking about comedy, and then I realized that she had never really seen my act. She had seen it once or twice, but backstage and stuff. So I remembered that I had an old Cellar set on my phone that they sent me. So I was like, I think I might have one thing, and I pulled it up and we watched it, just a 15-minute Cellar set, and I was like, oh man, this is weird. I never sat down with someone else with it on my TV. I cast it onto my TV, and I'm like, I need to see if I can step out of my body and watch this as I'm not watching myself. And am I funny? You know what I mean? I don't. I'm there laughing. And I had what?
Were you able to do it? Did you?
It's almost near impossible.
Yeah.
to divide yourself from your own material and your own performance and just say, like, if I didn't know that person, would I laugh?
Right.
I hope I would. I don't know. Like, it's so weird,
I think
right?
if you take time away from it, I recorded an album and then filmed it, and then turned that into my special. But I wasn't planning on it, because after I listened to the album and I edited it, it was months, and I said I hate it all. I don't want to hear it again. And then I waited like a year almost, then started editing it as the special, and then took some time off from there. And then I sat down and watched the whole thing. And I got, it wasn't all the way there, but it was like 75% removed. And I sat and I enjoyed it and I laughed at it. And I was like, okay, that's a good sign, because I want to be able to enjoy my stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's fun to go, oh, that's actually, and that's really funny. And that's mine. I own that idea. It's a really cool thing, I think.
No, it is funny. It's like, we should try to take a moment to enjoy ourselves, I think, or enjoy our own material.
Yeah.
Instead of being so hypercritical, just let everything go and just watch it and be like, oh, that's silly, that's funny, you know, like.
Yeah, you thought it was funny in the beginning, otherwise you wouldn't have done it. So
it's so like on stage when you're in a groove and the crowd's liking it, you feel like you could do no wrong. You know, you know, in some of those great moments, and you just feel like, oh, this is definitely funny. Everyone's really laughing, you know. But it is a completely different thing to then watch it from outside and try to. It's probably a really good exercise.
I think it's healthy too, because I remember
not
Seinfeld.
Just watch it, but watch it and give yourself permission to just enjoy it if you could. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Why not? Why not do that?
Yeah.
I think you gotta be your biggest fan. I really think so. Otherwise, then also you're only doing it for other people. You know, how much are you able to do it for you now? I know it's a mix, because you don't want to just go out there and do mime work and bomb and go, well, I've felt really edgy and fun. You know, how much can you go out and go, man, that felt good for me because that was a new idea that I enjoyed, and I maybe I tried something new.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a little far between right now because of like the pandemic, but like there's nothing better than, like, you know, there's nothing better than that first time you're doing a joke, or that first week, or even that first month, really. But that first night, maybe you got a couple of spots back to back and it works.
Yeah. It's like dating a new person. You go, man, it's going to be perfect forever. And then next week, you know, it's like, you know, the mask comes off and you're like, oh boy.
It's so funny.
Oh.
But when on a new joke, when the laugh comes exactly where you anticipated it, and then maybe you even riff a little something on top, and then all of a sudden now there's like, even if it's like, oh, that was 30 seconds of joke, like, you know, and then I take that 30 seconds like it's gold.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and then
oh my God, I have the seed, so something's working.
Walk out of the club. Excuse me.
Get away from me. And then there's nothing funnier than when you run to the second show, like with it in your hand, and you do it, and then it falls flat in the second show, and you're like, I thought I had something.
Yeah, it's just pigeon shit and broken eggshells. You go, wait a minute, and then that's the work, is trying to mold that back into something. But yeah, I remember doing a joke for the first time in front of you at we did this little attic show in L.A., but it was like
yes,
yeah, and dude, I stopped doing it.
Phillips come to that.
Emo Phillips was there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's like, really nice stuff. I'd never seen. I didn't. It's crazy. I'd actually never seen him before. And I was like,
that's
old
right.
hipster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And actually, I think I might remember the bit you did, because I thought it was so funny. And I laughed out loud. And then when you came off stage, I was like, oh, dude, that's so. And you're like, oh, I riffed that just now for the first time ever. And I was like, what?
Yeah. And then I threw it away because I just got nervous about it. I don't know why.
Was it like, were you making a drink or a bartending or serving?
Yeah. It was like it was about being like an adult kid, how I love, because I don't really drink. And I love Shirley Temple. So it's about how to order it to make it look like it's kind of a mistake. Like, what are those cherries over there? Yeah, just you know, like I'm pretending like I'm waiting for a date, so I'm like getting hydrated. Whatever it is, I don't know why, but I panicked after because it went so well, and then it bombed the next like 2 times. But I gotta bring it back. It's you know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it, and that might have been 5 years ago, and I remember
yeah,
it. So.
yeah, dude. And we saw Get Out, and I think about this often. I don't know if you remember, but do you remember there was a black woman next to us talking on her cell phone?
We were at the what's that theater? We were at the really popular one, right? Like
It was a huge one. There was a woman next to us.
It's the famous one that everyone goes to, the ArcLight.
ArcLight.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's just talking on Debbie, and I think I was closer to her, but it was like I thought the only thing I could say to her right now would be, "Can you get out?" And I couldn't. She ended up getting kicked out, so it wasn't like
Oh, that's right, because they take that real serious there.
Yeah.
At that place, people will tell you, and then the usher comes in and says you have to leave or you have to stop. Yes,
but like just because the movie was Get Out and it was a racially driven movie, and I thought
funny.
I really hate when people talk in the theater, and I just remember this woman's on her phone, and I thought, she's a black woman, I can't do it right now, it's not going to work. And then they came and they threw out, but I just wanted to say, hey, can you get out?
I forgot. I knew we went. I forgot what movie we saw. It was good. Yeah.
That was good.
Hey, if you don't want people talking, don't ever go to the UA on Court Street in Brooklyn.
Oh,
I've rolled the dice there 5 times. All 5 times I've ever gone. I mean, 99% of it's like the cafeteria at a high school.
Really?
Go in.
Yeah, I went there once.
People are going there strictly to socialize. It's wild.
Yes. I used to babysit when I started stand up. I babysat for like 5 years. That was my side gig, and I would take this kid to that theater. And yeah, I remember it was just a shit show.
It was, I mean, I couldn't even, one time I couldn't even, it looked like I was at a social function. Like,
people are bringing trays of pasta and like,
dude, like, not only were people talking to each other who they came with, but people were just shouting to each other across aisles. I'd say if the theater was sold out, because I tried, and then I completely vetoed it. I'll never go there again. But like, there was like 10 people on their phone.
Good Lord.
I was saying to my girlfriend at the time, I was like, I have never witnessed something like this before in my life. Nobody was upset.
Really?
Like, it was all par for the course. I was like,
therapy.
It must be like a thing that people know, that they just talk in these. I don't know, but it happened every time I went there.
Now, are you the type of person that can say, hey,
Never.
come on, you can't. Okay. All right.
I'll do like.
Why do you think that is?
Because the last thing I need is to go shh, and then all of a sudden I'm either in a physical altercation, or I mean, not even. I don't even mean me, like, because
just you.
The last thing anyone needs, really.
Yeah.
And just knowing the society we live in, that's all that has to happen. Is shh.
Yeah.
Then someone I get hit in the head with a Diet Cola, and then or like 8 people stand up and just beat the crap out of me, or they yell at me, and then I'm contributing to the. I just stew in it, and then if it's ever that bad, I'll just leave. I mean, I'll just leave.
I grew up with a dad who would literally like scold a child. I remember this kid was kicking on the back of his airplane seat. We were flying to Germany or something. And he goes, Stop kicking the fucking seat. And he would just, so I have that. That's like in the Fischer blood, and it's not good because I am so small that I've really gotten close to killed before, because I have a guy threw a soda can on the floor of the subway, and I go, hey man, why don't you pick that up? And my part of my brain's going, don't do that, stop doing that. And this guy was jacked, and he got in my face, and he goes, it's fucking New York City. And I said, well, that's a bad excuse. I mean, I was like, and I made him pick it up.
And you succeeded.
Like, this guy could have been just out of jail.
Yeah.
And I think he was like, this guy must be a psychopath if he's really pushing a guy like me. So he went and he picked it up.
No shit.
And the whole subway car was just like, just
wow.
frozen.
Good for you. Yeah. I mean, there's a version of that where someone, stabs you in the chest. But,
yeah. I mean, I've been beat up many times. I just,
really?
Just loudmouth, smart ass kid. I got knocked out. I took on a whole rugby team in college once. I mean, I was drunk too, but
I don't. I've known you so long.
Yeah. It's a side. People don't believe it. They literally go, I don't believe it.
Legitimate. I wouldn't just say it. You are one of the sweetest people I know.
That's this half.
And so you saying that, I guess I just don't know that side of you or that old side. I don't know.
Yeah. You and every girl I've dated, and then they go, I just didn't know.
That's funny.
I had this.
I will tell you, like, littering is one of the things that pierces right through me. Like it can get me from 0 to 100. Like I'm steaming when I see someone litter. I don't litter my entire life. I don't litter. Like
really.
And while I have done what you did with the littering a few times, I wouldn't do it in a movie theater. But my big litter move too is to like, I'll go if someone throws something on the floor, I'll like and we're out in the street, I'll go right in front of them, pick it up, go like this, and then I'll walk it to the garbage. Like I'll shame him that way. I remember one time a guy was smoking a cigar on his lunch break, talking to this woman. It was a big cigar. He just lit it. They talked for about a minute. He just took it and threw it right on the floor. Oh. And I was so mad. And I remember I picked up his cigar. And you
should have taken a couple pulls from it.
Yeah, I would never do that. Exactly right. This is mine now. Okay. I picked it up and I just was like, "Yeah, the street is not your ashtray." Right in front of the girl and everything, and they were just like shocked. And I walked into the corner. And
that sounds just as ballsy. I mean, you are picking it up for them. You're not making them, but you are scolding them. You know, that's still, you know, you could get the wrong guy there too.
I've yelled at people that I hate this too.
Your fucking face is my ashtray now.
Exactly right. Or when people throw it out the car window, it kills me. Or they'll throw like a whole bag of like, you know, their McDonald's order out the car window.
Whole bag.
I've done that before. I've gotten out of my car at a red light, walked up, gotten their stuff, and either put it back in their car or took it back to and you know, the car is not big because you're in motion.
That's my favorite move.
Or I'll just pull up and what the hell are you? And sometimes they curse, sometimes they pick it up, sometimes, you know, whatever. But man, I don't know what people have inside that they could take a bag full of food, open the window, and throw it with zero guilt.
I think it's a control thing. It's anywhere there's lack of control in your life. If you can have any moment, I think it's why people are really dicks to waiters and stuff, because maybe they're lower down in their job and they're getting bossed around. It's like, now it's my turn.
Sure.
I get an hour to boss this guy around. But that litter thing, I love giving it back. A woman was smoking in Bryant Park, and that's another thing. I smoked for 10 years. I know it's an addiction, but if it's a place where you're not allowed to smoke, I go right up and I say, you're not allowed to do that.
Wow. You like confrontation.
No, I don't know what it is. It's like, I don't know. I really don't. That's the thing. I don't like it. But she goes, I don't think so. She kept smoking it. And I said, well, I'm going to, just going to go get that cop over there. And she puts it out, and then she takes out another one as she's walking away, as to say, like, I'm leaving, but I'm going to smoke as I'm leaving. So the one
I haven't seen the last of me.
The one she threw on the ground before, it didn't go all the way out. So as she's walking away, I pick up her lit cigarette and I go up and I drop it in her pocketbook.
Oh my God, dude. That's ballsy.
And I said something like,
wow.
As I told you, it's like I lost control. I lose control of my body. That's the problem. I become like Joe Pesci from Name a Movie, where it's like
that is a bold
right in the pocketbook.
Checkmate. I would never. That's wild. Can you imagine?
She was flabbergasted. She was absolutely flabbergasted.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That is hysterical. Could you imagine her purse lit up like something? Oh man, you're my hero.
Yeah, I need to stop letting those things get to me quite as much, because fine line. She could have had kerosene in there or something. She could have just come from the kerosene store.
That's funny, man.
So, dude, what? By the way, let me know time wise, like whatever.
I'm good. I have something at 5.
Okay. Yeah, maybe by 4:30 we can wrap
it.
You're my first guest, by the way.
No.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. I was doing it with no guests as a way to challenge myself, because I'm so afraid of talking without a script.
It's hard. Yeah.
If I see a woman that I'm going to go talk to her, I'm walking over going, how about that? How about that rain? How are you? How are you? I'm practicing. So as a challenge this year was like, do a podcast, no guests. And then I go on YouTube and it's like, we love it. It's great. You just need guests, and I said, all right, fine. So
if you could stop doing the thing you're doing and do something else, that'd be great.
Yeah. But I want to be talking to you and connecting with comedians and stuff. So it's
for sure.
What I'm going to do is I'll do one just me and then one guest and then one just me.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah. Because I started sweating after I released my first episode. Sweating because I'm going, oh my God, my rule is I can't edit it. That's the one rule. I'm not allowed to go back and cut anything out.
You're good, man. You're good. You push.
Well,
good.
Because otherwise I'll sit there and chop up every line and every word. So
edit it to death.
Yeah. So, and I also said I'm going to allow myself to lose 1,000 followers. I gave myself that. If I lose more than 1,000, then I'll maybe switch it up or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just started. I'm only like 7 weeks into 2 new podcasts.
Dude, they're so funny.
Thanks so much, man. Thank you.
So you've got one about food. So yeah. Talk a little bit about the theme of both.
It was like born out of like so besides the pandemic where we're like home, not being able to perform and not being able to just wanted an outlet. And then also it was just like I wanted something that nobody could take away from me or that nobody else was involved in except myself. You know what I mean? Like we're creative control and there's no in between and there's no network, there's no nothing, And then one I do with Chris DiStefano, comedian Chris DiStefano.
Oh yeah, you love Chris.
And Chris and I toured together for like a couple of years. So we have spent so many days and nights and weekends just telling stories. And we just decided to do a podcast, it just felt right. And then the other was kind of the same. My buddy Joe DeRosa, who's another comedian, him and I just have great conversations and fierce debates about everything, but a lot of times about food.
Yeah.
And we were just in the middle of a fierce one day. And I was like, dude, this is probably a podcast. Like just because I wanted to do, because Chris and I's, it's called Hey Babe. It's open-ended podcast. Anything goes.
Yeah.
But Taste Buds one, it's basically a show and we fiercely debate foods like
pancake
Doritos,
waffles was the last, right?
Waffles, Doritos combos, Chips Ahoy Oreo. And we'll put out a Twitter poll at the beginning of it and we rip each other to shreds and then we check the poll to see who wins. It's like a half hour. It's easy. It's quick. It's a quick listen, but it's been really fun. So
well, I got to see that live after your movie premiere. I walked up and you and Joe were impenetrable.
Really?
I was actually trying to say goodbye to you and I couldn't. You guys were so Corinne Fischer was laughing at me because she saw me trying to say goodbye to you guys.
And
I forget what the food was.
Who knows? It could be anything.
But it's so funny to watch comedians who whatever we're talking about has to be right, like it doesn't matter. So it's such a brilliant concept because it's pancakes. Nope, it's waffles. And
the good thing about first Chris first and foremost is like one of the funniest, more naturally funny guys ever.
I can't handle it's too funny.
He should have a movie about his life. The stories he tells is unbelievable. But then DeRosa, I appreciate him so much because he's one of my friends that he will talk to me about an Oreo for 2 hours straight, and we both want to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, well, that's the best kind of friend. That's it.
Yeah. And so I was like, this will be good. Like, we can easily cover 30, 40 minutes to talk about stuff like this. And so they've been fun. But my point was that I've only just begun releasing them.
Yeah.
And so I've had that same thing. I used to have a podcast with Brian Quinn, one of my best buds from the show, called What Say You? We started like in 2012 or 13, and we only ended up doing like 75 episodes. It was a blast, but just our schedules got in the way and this and that. So this is my first dip back into this. And so to put it out there again and just like wait to see if people liked it, because I'm always like, who the hell cares what I have to say about anything? Like, there's always that in the back of my head. But then you just see people just love the outlet just to turn on something and be distracted for an hour. So
and people like seeing people connecting. I think that's another part of it. But the same thing, that's why I haven't done a podcast in 10 years, because I kept going, why would anyone, when I do stand up, that's hours of writing, hours of practice. They're seeing this boiled down, highly, energized piece of art. So I couldn't I wish I got on board with the podcast a long time ago, but then I just watched like a guy talk about vitamins on Joe Rogan for 3 hours. And then I went and bought all the vitamins he told me to. I didn't even know who the guy was. I don't know if he's credible. He was some kind of doctor. And I thought, wait, I just listened about vitamins for 3 hours. And I bought the vitamins, and now I'm taking them every day. I don't know what they are. He just said, get these vitamins. And then I thought, okay, I can manage 45
some
minutes.
kind of doctor.
Some kind of, I don't know his name.
Like on the wall behind him, and he's like, it's some kind of PhD.
Yeah. And I'm writing him down. He's going, take, 40 milligrams of this. Yeah. Next day, they all arrive at my door, and I'm down every morning. Do you take vitamins?
I do.
What would you mind sharing? Which
No. I'm a long time consistent user of vitamins. Comes from my dad. My dad probably took. Now we know we probably pissed most of it away, and he took way too much. And I think I even might have caused a problem for my what do they call those stones? Because I like
kidney stones.
Yeah, whatever they are. Because I did a test. I went for a checkup recently, and they're like, you got to cool it a little bit on the vitamins, I think, or vitamin C. They were like, you might be getting you're I don't know, you're whatever they said, borderline. You like and gonna kill yourself taking vitamins. I take a multi, and then I take echinacea. Okay. So for me, I really started going on hardcore. I used to just take a multi, but being on the road, and the constant travel and airports and airplanes and hotels and the mics and touching and meet and greets, the worst thing that could ever happen on top of all that is that you're sick. You get worse, and you still have to perform. You still have to fly. You still have to meet and greet. You still have to do it. So it's like, I don't want to be sick at any cost. So I started taking like elderberry pills, echinacea, apple cider vinegar, zinc, B12.
Wow.
I take D, all above the multi.
How many D? How many was it milligrams or whatever ICUs?
IU, whatever. I take 5,000.
Okay, me too. Yeah, good. Yeah. All right, that guy knows what he's doing.
I recently got a checkup again, and my doctor was like, wow. I felt so proud. He goes, wow, I'm really loving your vitamin D levels.
Great.
we go over the chart. He's like, yeah, they're really good. And I was like, well, I take a supplement, on top of my multi.
Yeah, that's what's exciting now.
But I take something on top of the multi.
Okay, all right. I'm doing natural citrus for the vitamin C.
Okay.
I guess I should go get my levels tested. That's important.
I mean, I was taking them. It wasn't like being like crazy proactive. My childhood buddy is a doctor, and I wasn't happy with my doctor, and so I switched to him. And so he did like the whole like phase one of like, oh, welcome to my so he gave me a whole up and down, and then we went over that. But I wasn't like, let me go check all my levels or anything like that.
All right, I need a new doctor. My guy doesn't. I tell him I'm sick, and he just puts needles in me. He does acupuncture, but he didn't tell me. I went in with like a sore strep throat, and he goes, lay down. He shut the lights off. And he starts sticking needles in me. And then he walks out.
No warning.
No warning. No notice. No, and he doesn't give me any medication.
That is
nothing.
Hysterical.
And I think maybe the confusion of that kind of kicked the sickness out of my system. When you have to sneeze or you have the hiccups.
Yeah.
Someone I think he just confuses his clients to the point where they don't even need a remedy.
How is acupuncture? I've been thinking about doing it.
Does
it hurt?
It to me it did a little bit. He put some in your earlobes and in your legs.
Yeah.
I can't.
No, I hear mixed. I hear both. I hear
do you do massage therapy? Do you go get massages?
That's another thing I used to do more often. I just found like a really reasonable place in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I have like 3 places I go to. It's like for like an hour, even if you're just doing like reflexology or for an hour, it's like $35-$40.
Yep. I got a place,
like
Regal Spa, $40 for an hour. I still go actually.
It's the best money you've ever spent. Like you can go buy a burger and a beer right now. It's going to cost you with tax until like $30. It's like, oh, I'll take the massage for 1 hour.
Dude, it's unbelievable what they do.
Yeah.
And especially in our line of work, we're just on I finally accepted I need to start treating my body like a fucking royalty.
It helps. I had people
do that. Are you able to like really?
Yeah, I had people tell me that, gave me that advice because I was like getting run down, and it'll like, you should do this. Like, it's not a thing. It's not like it doesn't have to be for a special occasion. It doesn't have to be exorbitant. You don't have to feel like, oh, I need a massage. It's like, it's for your health. And it really does help. Like, especially like on the road, I started doing it. So like if I'm on like a 2 or 3 or 4 night weekend or on tour, I'll get to a city very early and I'll go get a massage, just to feel better. Like, cause it helps, it just helps your body.
Releases toxins and then just being pampered too. There's something about that, man. And mental state. Yeah.
My manager told me, like, when we started like picking up work a little bit more, like 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was. And he was like, can I give you a suggestion? Because I would stay and always we would try to find the best deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would take whatever flight was the cheapest, no matter how many connections. Didn't matter. I would stay in whatever hotel was the cheapest, as long as there wasn't like a murdered prostitute in it or a rat.
Sure,
we would just find the best deal and let that dictate. And he was like, I think that you should start investing in yourself and staying in nicer hotels.
Great advice.
Flights that you want, leaving the times that you want, from where you want. And he's like, trust me, because this is the new normal now. And you have to make some concessions for yourself where you ease all of this, because you're going to hate it if you don't. It just starts to wear on you. So after a couple of years of doing it that way, I took his advice and I just started staying in nicer places if I could help it. Like if the money was there and I was making the money, I would allocate. And it did change it. It did change it. It makes it so much. There's nothing like getting to a place and you've been traveling all weekend and you open the door and it's gross. You know what I mean? Like you kind of want to open it and feel like, oh my God, this place has nice sheets, nice food. You know what I mean?
I'm all for it, man. I love that stuff. I love it. I love nice hotels. I love spending money on that stuff. I don't spend money on much, but if you got to do it. I mean, that's a good manager. My manager told me I should start doing cruise ships. So we had very different managers. I said, I don't want to do it. And he said, don't you want to get paid as a comedian? I said, yeah. I said, don't you want to be doing stand-up? I said, yeah. He said, well, you hit both on the head with cruise ships. So I ended up doing stand-up on cruise ships for a while. And then I said, no, this isn't what I want to do.
Can I help you?
Yeah. Yes.
A lot, right?
Yeah. If, at that time, again, wasn't doing clubs, wasn't doing anything. So you get to do a long chunk. You do 3 shows a night.
Yeah.
Then you realize it's the most fun thing to do on the ship. So everyone starts coming back. So now you see the same people. It is boot camp for stand-up.
Wow.
It's like Vietnam for stand-up.
Same material, or would you try to? Did you feel that pressure?
Yeah, I started writing new material.
That they came back.
I'd be on the beach in the Bahamas just writing new material going, I know Betsy from the buffet's coming back and I gotta, she's tired of the yoga closer. And yeah, it was fun. I mean, if you don't have to do it, avoid it at all costs. But if you want to come back with a couple grand and a free vacation.
Yeah, that's how I feel. A lot of people, I had never taken a cruise until we did.
You started doing those?
Yeah, well, we shot on a cruise ship for the television show.
Okay.
And then that's how that relationship even started. And the cruise that we went on was an actual curated cruise by the band Train.
Yeah.
And I guess they did this cruise, and now it's blown up. Now it's like everyone from Kiss to The Walking Dead there's all these themed cruises, and this fandom, this community comes, and you kind of you do the programming for the cruise and you curate it. And so they're like celebrating the show and they're getting all these things that have to do with the show, but then they're also getting a regular cruise experience. So people love it and they start going back every year and they make friends, and then these people are from all over the world and they want to see their friends again.
So big reunion.
In the next year, they look forward to it. Oh my God, I'll see you here next year. So I learned about this whole world. And after we filmed, they said, we know you have a following, would it be something you would entertain? And so we put out a survey on that cruise line. Sixth Man is this company that basically does all these cruises with what's the name of the cruise company?
Norwegian.
Yes.
Norwegian. Okay, we love Norwegian here at the Tyler Fischer Show.
And they came, like the survey was like overwhelmingly positive. So we tried it, and then we did 4 years in a row. And now this is the first year we're not going to do it. It would be next month.
Will you do it again, you think, or do you have to wait and see if people?
I don't know if we'll ever do it again. I can't even anticipate it. Because
Right.
it has to be like zero risk. And then we got to see if the demand is there. And then I got to see if the other guys want to do it. I personally loved doing it.
Yeah.
It became like something I look forward to every year. Again, I had never taken a cruise before this.
Wow.
Now I've taken 6 doing this between filming. The reason I love it is because we've made it into basically a comedy festival.
Yeah, you're right.
We book 3 or 4 bands, 3 or 4 DJs, sometimes even some chefs or whatever, and another entertainment. And then I book like 15 comics. You should come on it.
Dude, I'd love to.
More than welcome. I'd love to have you if we ever do it again.
I'll do the Corona version where we're all in incubators.
Yeah. But I get to give work to friends, and I get to, and the other guys are really nice about it. Like, because since I'm in this world, like specifically, and they're not specifically in stand-up world, they just let me book it. So, right. I mean, I do have to, I do defer to like, our agency, and some things I can't just like 100%, but a lot of it,
you're the stand-up out
I
of
hesitate
the four,
to say
right?
that. Then every comic I know comes in.
I know.
But it is, it's like, because we know hundreds of comics, so it's hard to get everybody in. But I make notes, and I tell people, even if it's not this year, it'll be next year, and I've come through. So it's just great to just be, all my worlds collide on the cruise.
It's really,
I bring my family. So my family, when we did the first one, I never knew if I would do another one, and it was such a unique thing. I was like, this is like a moment in my life. If I never do this again, I want my family to see it.
It's insane.
Yeah, so I brought my whole family.
Insane.
Here you have my whole family. And then sometimes we film like bits for the show on the cruise. So then I have my whole crew. But then I have every single one of my comedian, 15 of my comedian friends, and all my worlds are colliding. And it's just this overstimulated, hyper week where I remember it's 4 nights, 5 days. I remember I did 16 to 20 shows in 4 nights.
Holy shit.
It's running around manically, and I lose my voice. I always get sick, and because I'm to the bone, we're working. But there's something about that grind, that energy, and that opportunity that's so unique.
Just have to go.
I love doing it every year.
You're describing something, a childhood dream that you'd be laying in bed going, all right, I'm going to rent a cruise ship, but I'll have a TV show. So I'll film part of the show there, and I'll bring all my friends and my parents.
You're right. It's mind blowing.
This is the shit I used to lay in bed with my brother, and we would describe our mansion with the water slide, and the friends would live in the pool house. You get to do that for a week, a year. It's. I mean, I don't know if that'll ever
That's
fully
why I
hit
have like this FOMO thing about it, where I just want to do it every year, because it's like, what life is this? What world is this happening in? It doesn't get old. It doesn't get old. So it's just like, yeah, it is funny when you say it, when we talk about it, or you say, and you just look at it from the outside, what you just said, it's like, what? Like,
what do you think it is about you and about, you and the guys that allows this kind of fantasy to become reality and to be done in such a high-spirited, positive way? It's like so loving. What is it about it? Is it you're the friendship with you guys? Is it like, did you decide we're just gonna go for it and have fun and say yes? Like, what's
it wasn't anything we anticipated. I think people really latched on to our relationship with each other. Just relatable. Like, that's the number one thing we hear. Like, I want to hang out with you guys, or I want to be on the show, or you remind me exactly of us and our friends. And I think what ended up happening was I just attributed it all to the fans of that show, these types of opportunities, because never did we think that they would come together and create, it doesn't really happen on shows like ours.
Right.
It'll happen on something like Seinfeld or The Walking Dead or a band like Kiss, and where all these like-minded people come together and they're like, we want to celebrate the thing that we love. You see it in culture with like movies, bands, but we didn't anticipate it happening. And I think social media was very helpful in that. And people found each other online, and, our pages built, and people end up having these dialogues with each other, and then celebrating their favorite moments, episodes, or their team me or their team this. And that was one of the things we hoped would happen, would be we stoke competition, and people would latch on to who they're rooting for in the spirit of the competition, and then they'd be a little more vested in the show itself. And I think that happened, and then they found each other online, and we saw this community growing and just seized on an opportunity. And then we brought these people together. It was happening in the audience.
Yeah.
At our regular tour dates, people coming dressed in costumes, holding signs, chanting things from the show, and then going out afterward and hanging out, and then making trips to meet each other at our show. We saw it happening, and we meet people afterwards, and they would tell us. And so we said, "Oh, something is happening here that we didn't anticipate."
That we can put in the ocean.
Yeah, we could put it in the ocean.
Get this out in the ocean.
The opportunity came, we seized the opportunity, and then it became a thing. And it's just like, how the hell do we back into this? But
where was doing the garden on your list of just accomplishments and looking back on the last, like, let's say 5 or 10 years? Because I was so lucky you sent me a ticket to that.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd seen you guys live, and it's at Madison Square Garden, and you guys are all from New York City, from Staten Island. What was that journey like?
I almost feel like I didn't play it, the Garden, if you can believe it or not, because it was like an out-of-body experience in a way. Look, we were doing shows 20-something years ago as an improv troupe, then as a sketch troupe.
Yeah.
And, we performed, in front of 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, 20 people.
Yeah.
Our regular shows were at black box theaters, and they had between, 10 and 50 people, maybe 100, but like, and then we started touring off the show. It was in like C rooms or B rooms, then A rooms, and then small theaters. And then we built up to this arena thing. Never get used to it, but I still go to shows, whether it be comedy or bands, at these arenas. And when I'm sitting in the audience, at this point now, I've been so fortunate to have played arenas like almost everywhere. But I sit, and it still doesn't feel like it's 2 separate things. My mind has compartmentalized them. And when I'm in the audience at a venue of this type, I still look around on behalf of the act. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this many people came together. When everyone's singing like the same song and they've turned the lights up, and you're like, what the hell? Look at this. And then I'm sitting there like watching Billy Joel or watching Bill Burr or someone, and I'm like, I know what it's like to be on that, but it just doesn't feel the same. It's different to watch it and then to be up there doing it. And so
it's work to an extent. It's like you're at work, so you got to be in work mode. So you can't fuse the two. And it's good that you can separate them so that you can still go to the Garden and be a part of that thing that's larger. You can't describe it. That many people.
I can phone myself and sit in a show and watch the show that we do, so I could feel it, what it feels like from that end. You know, but I always just feel like, well, we got to do that, and I don't know. It's just it's a weird thing, but it doesn't get old. And the Garden, it was like nerves. Like I don't normally have like nerves. Like, look, that show we were touring with, so I knew the show back and forward.
Yeah,
we had performed it in front of other venues like that. But there was just something about the Garden where you're like, don't get in your own head. Don't get in your own head. It's like, it's the Garden. You may never play it again. Everyone you know is here. Like, and so, and then I actually don't love New York crowds, believe it or not.
Right. You've gotten to see crowds everywhere. I'm pretty limited to the US and mostly New York. So.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're decent, but New York City proper crowds sometimes can be like, okay.
Yeah.
And I thought the Garden show was okay.
What's the difference? Are people more just having more fun in other cities, or
I don't know,
less judgmental, or like less hard? I mean, New York hardens people.
I really don't know. Like, we did a couple of shows. We did a bunch of shows on Staten Island at this theater called the St. George, which is our only theater like that.
Yeah.
It's like a landmark here now. And growing up, it was like closed. It was open when my mom was younger, and it was this beautiful big theater. Beautiful. And then they restored it, and it was like a dream to play there. And then we did. And I remember the first time we were ever going to play there, we're like, oh, this is going to be like, we had done small shows here, but ever since we got this kind of notoriety. We hadn't played it. And I was like, oh, this place we're going to blow the roof off this place. And the shows were like, okay. And I think maybe it has something to do with like, there's some ownership here.
Yeah.
Well, I know, like, let's say that theater holds like 1,700. I'm like Rain Man with this stuff.
Yeah.
And like, let's say like half that theater at the first show we went to was like people that knew us. It's like, I think it's almost just like, well, we know them, you know, like, I don't know what it is, or maybe we just sucked. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe you were great and you were too focused on the,
you know, some places bring it all, and you never know, because it's not a hard and fast rule, but some crowds bring it all the time. Ohio always brings it for us. Like Florida brings it a lot for us, but Massachusetts always brings it. There's just Illinois always, but then there's places like New Orleans, Vegas that are like, it's always kind of rough. I don't know what it is. It's just like it always ends up being a rough show.
It's just built into the city.
Places like casinos in Vegas are always just like, people are drunk. They've lost money. Right. They got comped. They're not really. It's like, you know, they have 8 other shows going on. They're dead tired. So Vegas is weird. New Orleans is always a shit show.
Yeah.
You know, or Louisiana. So it's like people are it's hot as hell in the theater.
And adding alcohol into it at all. It's funny when you talk to comedians. I don't like to say, oh, that was a shitty crowd or whatever, because I think, guys, look what we did. We just trapped a bunch of strangers in a small room and we're pumping alcohol and having a limit of drinks. We're setting ourselves up for a pretty rough battle. But in a room that size, I mean.
Yeah, no, and you know, that night, like, I get there and, you know, you're already outside of yourself. And it's almost like a wedding or like something where like everyone you know is backstage, and you see your mom and your dad and your grandma and then your sisters and your cousins and your aunts and your uncles and your kids, your friends from grammar school and your neighbors, and you're like, all right, hello, thank you. I go on stage, oh my God, I get off stage and everyone's like, and you're like, and you go home, and then all of a sudden that was happening, and then it's just silence, and you're just like, that was a real weird experience.
Would you prefer there be no people that you don't know? Like, would you prefer going to, like, you guys have done a lot of big shows in the UK.
Yeah.
Is that better for you going, I just know I get off and I don't have to?
Yeah, you know, I'm so used to it. I don't mind it. The more company, the better. Like, it's just, the Garden was an island of its own.
Right.
But like the other places, like in the UK, believe it or not, we have a lot of friends out there. And so whenever we played, like, we've toured all over, but it's specifically when we play like London and the O2 Arena, we'll have like 20, 30 friends come. And that is even more fun because you're across the pond, you're in another country.
Right.
You have your friends coming to this thing and you're like, oh my God, you just count your blessings, really. But
damn.
But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't get old, and it is weird, and you know, you're just trying to be present.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So what's because when you start comedy, you start anything, you don't know what you're doing at all. But is there like one thing that you did or something that sustained you to keep? Honestly, I thought of you yesterday because I had like podcast, interview, radio thing, Zoom show, this and that. And I really was like, I can't do it. And then I thought of you because I'm like, Sal does this all the time and he's managing it somehow. So I took a cold shower and I embodied you and I just did it and I got it done and I was fine. But what is it? Because it's
like you had like just a packed schedule of this, that.
Yeah. And I just know you're either filming the show or writing your new live show or you're doing stand up. And sometimes I just go, what drugs does he mix into the, vitamin D?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't know. You know how it is. You have to do it or you're out. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to, every opportunity that, you know, you have to learn how to say no, but like,
sure.
You know, I mean, the grind is, we all do it. I just, you know, if anything, my stand up probably suffers a little bit from that because,
yeah,
you know, like today, you know, so I had, 2 interviews this morning on Zoom. They were like an hour each. Then I had a production call for like a couple hours. And then I did a podcast with Sean Donnelly right before you. And then after you, I'm doing one with Ben Kissel.
Oh,
so that would
good
be like,
Lord.
You know, 3 podcasts, 2-hour interviews, and, you know, and then a 2-hour meeting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7 hours talking straight from like 11 a.m. to like 6, 7 p.m. But it's not every day, but it is a lot of the days. But it's like, I don't know. I'm also sitting on the couch, like you just kind of got to do it because awareness. You just have to, well, first I love like something like this is nothing. Like I'm talking to my friend. It's great. I love
the fun element is people will say as long as you're having fun, but that's so it might be the most true thing to success mentally and with your career, because even if I did a Zoom show last night and I watched the host more or less bomb. I mean, she's so funny, but I just know, okay, I'm walking into this and it's going to be awful. And I just said, I have a decision to make right now. I'm going to have as much fun as possible.
Sure.
Or I'm going to be resentful. But I think if you choose that every time, it sounds so simple, but you do it. I've never seen you where I'm watching you and I go, oh, Sal's decided to throw in the towel or he's not happy with this. You have fun every time. And that is so valuable.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, doing it for myself too, because I think you got to. I think you just got to be present. Like, what is the point if I'm coming out of this, after an hour and I'm just like exhausted and I didn't really want to be here. I do want to be here. That's what, So, I just kind of had to block everything out and just, my days are not always like that. And they always weren't like that. But I think what happens is it starts to become the new normal. Mm-hmm. And you have a choice. You have to just say, get on board. I was so nervous when we first got the television show because as luck would have it, and it is really luck, I had invested in my first business like only only a couple of months before we got the show. And, you're owning your own business it's purely insane. I would never do it again. And it's the hardest thing I ever did. But like, you put all your money into a business and then a new business, you have to nurture it. You have to be there 24/7, like 24/7 really. And then I got this show. And that's winning the lottery. And you have to work on that 24/7. They both, and I was like, I remember having a moment being like, how the hell am I going to do both of these things? It's physically, I'm incapable of it.
Right.
And I truly really didn't know because I had to work all day and all night, every day.
For how long did you do that?
2 years.
You worked all day, managed the bar, owned the bar.
At night. I filmed all day.
And then filmed all day.
Yeah. For the first 2 seasons, because we weren't making enough for me to just be a comedian.
Right.
And I also just started the bar and I put my savings into that. So I couldn't just abandon it. So there was no choice but to do it. But I did have that moment where I just wondered, like, when your world is, I mean, it's not a problem. It's an amazing circumstance.
Yeah. But very difficult to navigate.
You get filled with doubt saying like, can I pull this off? Do I have what it takes? Do I have the stamina? Do I have the motivation, the desire, like everything? And he's like, do I even have the physical ability to not sleep for this long? And you just have no choice. And you just look at it and you say what you just said. It's like, you better just fight. Not only that you better do it, but you better do it and kick ass and have fun. And you have to just change your perspective a little bit.
Right.
It was very intimidating, but again, like, I mean, it's like, it's the luckiest person in the world I am. So like, how do I, you have to
honor that. You got to honor that, you guys are hilarious and talented and things aligned, and you have to sort of surrender to that. And
that's what you're doing the whole time. You're eating shit and you're getting your chops up and you're learning and you're writing and you're failing and all that shit. It's like, you're just waiting for the opportunity to come to seize. That's all you're doing. There's 1,000 failures and then maybe one, if you're not ready for that, you don't grab it by the horns, you're not gonna, whatever. So it's like, I mean, it sounds trite what I'm saying. I'm not like, I don't mean to speak in platitudes, but that is it. You just have that moment of like, here we go. Like, I hope for the best.
Is there something you do every day structure wise? Because that comedians, if you're a full-time comedian, you can wake up at 1 and you can go to work at 10. And for, I'd say 8 years, I had no structure. And I finally am on to something that feels like it doesn't even matter what I create that day or what I do, as long as I check it off and put the time in.
Yeah.
I felt better than I felt even when I booked a TV show or this or that, just from
that. Is there anything? Something about getting your own little list done every day. And
do you have one of those? Do you make one?
I dip in and out of being diligent like that. And when I'm not diligent like that is always when I'm feeling terrible about myself. I thrive under structure and under routine for sure. So I try my best, I try my best.
Do you write every day because I know stand up is a huge, that's now a big part of your life. Do you segment off a part of the day for fleshing out? No.
So I was writing down ideas and jokes and stories forever, kind of, and keeping a running tally. And so I have this just Bible of my thoughts. Don't get me wrong. I'll write thoughts down all day long.
Yeah.
Or a seed of a joke, or if I think I have an angle or a point of view or anything at all, that's always getting written down. If I wake up in the middle of the night, if it's 3 a.m, I mean, it's 50-50. 50% of the time I'll say 50% of the time I say in the middle of the night, I'll remember this in the morning and I'll write it down. 100% of that time, I do not remember it.
Yes.
And then you feel like the biggest piece of shit in the world.
Yeah.
Because you can't take these ideas for granted and you might be throwing away something that could be a brand new bit. Then the other 50% of the time, I'll wake up at 3 a.m, I'll open my notes and I will write, if it's 20 paragraphs, I'll write it. I'll lean there in the dark and I'll write it. And then I'll just be like, done. And I'll go to sleep. Then when I read that the next day, 50% of the time it's good. And 50% of the time it is the stupidest thing I've ever thought of in my life. And
those are good odds though, 50%.
Well, I'm just saying like half the time, a lot of times it sucks anyway. But no, I don't. I just kind of like do that. And then when I have a window of time, like if I'm like, all right, I got some spots tonight and I got a 2-hour window today, I'll open that up and just scroll and just see what I feel really passionate about, or like what I could like talk about from a place of passion. Because I find that when I'm beginning a bit, it's harder for me to remember set up punch, remember, and don't, because then I get obsessed with if I forget one piece, then I get to the next piece. Am I missing the bridge? So a lot of times it's more of an idea that I already have an opinion on, and I'll remember like an in and an out, and then I'll just speak passionately about that idea. And then, because the most important part is to say it with confidence. So I try to record that, and then the next listen to it and say, okay, I can speak. Because if you speak about it with conviction, it might seem more formed than it really is, right? So I just try, when I'm picking out something new, I pick out something that I really have a strong opinion on, and then I just kind of just branch out little by little from there. And once I have like an in and an out and a laugh in the middle, then I'll add one more thing. Yeah.
Okay, before we go, I just want to ask you about this joke that I heard that killed me about you negotiating at a what was it? It was it was an antique shop or something where you were.
Are you talking about Aspen, Colorado?
Yes.
They were selling like a quartz
for what, $50,000 or something?
It was $400,000. No, it was a four. She offered me 15% off. It was $400,000, something like that, 25% off. It was $400,000. I actually have a picture of that.
and you kind of went back and forth with her to negotiate this, right?
Yeah. So that bit that I do, I couch it in Aspen being for the insanely wealthy. So it's like I went on the road there and I went into a shop and they were selling like fossils and shit. Like it was like weird shit that like nobody but crazy wealthy people could spend their money on.
Right.
And I had this experience the day of a show. That's the flip side of it. When a bit writes itself, like that bit word for word happened to me that afternoon. Then I went on stage. I said word for word what happened to me. It was a 4-minute bit that killed that night, and I still do that word for word to this day. It's
okay. That's what I wanted to ask. Is how I wanted to know how you created that, because I'm picturing you chiseling away at this story. You're such a good natural storyteller that you just captured it, and you haven't touched that since.
That was a gift from Jesus H.
Wow.
Yeah. It was word for word. And I knew in the moment. I knew it was going to be a bit. It was such a self-aware, like meta
writing it as
that I took a photo. I took photos of the store and of the quartz sphere that they were selling for $400K with the price tag, because I was like, because one thing I'm always like is that, like, because sometimes when a story is, I just want people to know it's real.
Yeah.
And so like I was like, if I ever do this if I tell a story or it's in a special, I'd love to have like
you're at the point now where you need proof. You're gonna need. Are you gonna do a special? Are you gonna when everything? Are you gonna?
I want to. Of course, that's the goal, right? I really want to. I just don't want to do it prematurely, and I don't want to overcook anything either. So I don't know. I want to look.
Selfishly, I want you to do it tonight on Zoom. No. I mean, I can't imagine what.
I just don't ever want to look back on it and be like, I wasn't ready and I shouldn't have done.
Well,
but I also don't want to miss my opportunity.
Split the difference, because I mean, when I saw you at Madison Square Garden, you do the same thing there as you did at my little bar show, which is you make the entire. You made it. I felt like I was just sitting in a small club, which is fantastic. So I mean, it's like you have everything. So that's when I put my special out. It wasn't supposed to be a special. It was just I decided to film my album. So I did do it prematurely because I thought, when am I going to do this again? Sure. But I got to say, there is something to. I finally think that was the best decision because I got it out, and I had been working on it for 8 years. So So where can we listen to your podcasts and watch? Are the entire things on YouTube, or you just put?
Yeah, they were going to put them on audio only and put the video on like Patreon.
Right.
But we put the first videos up, and they did so well, and we're like, we don't want to close this audio.
That. Yeah.
So we stopped Patreon, and we might continue it again. But basically on YouTube, you can listen to them wherever you get podcasts, audio podcasts, everywhere for free. But we film it and we put it up on YouTube. So since I started 2 of them, we wanted one destination to promote, and we're all friends, and we film it here actually. So
great.
So it's on YouTube. It's the No Presh Network, PRESH.
No Presh. Okay.
And then that's it. The podcasts are Taste Buds and Hey Babe, and they have all the social channels, Instagram, Twitter.
Okay. Yeah, you have to listen, and Sal and Chris, you guys, it's so fun to watch the 2 combos as well of you and Chris and you and Joe. So
because we have a different rapport with each other. Yeah.
Sal, it's so good to see you, man. I hope I can see you in real life at some point.
I do. We gotta hang out. I know.
Man. I'll meet you on the ferry, whatever you're comfortable with, dude. I'll take my doodle Freddie, who's passed out on the couch.
We're always trying to like plan it, but we actually have to plan it.
This is a warm up. This is a good.
Yeah, we got like a rapid test and then just hang out all day one day.
I'm down. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I know you got a couple more. You had 17 more podcasts tonight, and then go watch Sal's podcast. Listen to it, and you all know the show, so I know you're watching that. And you got my dad hooked on it, which I mean, like, that's what's crazy is me and my dad don't click on comedy shows, and he told me he's addicted, and I thought like,
to what?
To Impractical Jokers.
Really?
Yeah. We would sit and watch Seinfeld, and he would just go.
Oh, that's
and I would hold my laughs in, but now I can.
Your dad likes the show. That's so cool.
So that's like it's a gift that I can actually relate to comedy through you guys. So, but
well, Dad, I say hello.
All right, buddy.
Good to see your face and talk to you.
Good to see you, brother.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/Tyler Talks. Get a free ticket to my Zoom comedy show, which will be on January 30th. Have a great week. Do something nice for yourselves. Good night. Good luck. I'll see you next Monday.